Hello and welcome back to the John and Adrian podcast. We're going to go right into it and talk about the NBA Finals, John. It's going to be the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Miami Heat. Who do you have? What do you think?
I don't honestly I don't care. Like I'm a Lakers fan, but Jimmy Butler is one of my favorite players, so I think it's just going to be good basketball. I'm
Right.
glad to see good basketball, two good teams play. I'm gonna say the Lakers because I'm a Lakers fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I say 6 or 7 games. I want to see 6 or 7 games because I
Right.
just like watching these teams play.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm thinking like Lakers in 6 or 7, right? Like I don't see a sweep in either direction, and I don't see like the Heat overpowering the Lakers.
Yeah.
But I mean, they got this far and they could totally win it all. That's why I'm saying like 6 or 7 because they're both good teams. It's going to take a lot to win this series.
Yeah.
Good basketball. But I do want to talk about Doc Rivers got fired from the Clippers, or he left. I don't know. But so the Clippers are without a head coach, and I heard rumors of the Pelicans or 76ers signing him.
I heard those two.
So what do you think? Are the Clippers finally going to be good with the new head coach? Probably not. Actually, probably.
They're gonna go and get what's his name, the Rockets head coach,
Mike D'Antoni.
Mike D'Antoni, and totally just screw everything up.
Yeah, because they wouldn't fit under his system. I mean, they'd be a better match than most teams, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Like, Mike D'Antoni on the 76ers would be terrible because his system would just not work at all. He'd have to...
His entire team would be shooting 15%.
They'd have to uproot the entire team, basically. But, yeah, so I guess... that's not the move I thought the Clippers would have made. I thought they would have gotten rid of Paul George, honestly. Like,
hoping they still do.
Yeah, I think they should as well. He's not the backup, or he's not the second star, right? Like Kawhi is obviously the centerpiece, and Paul George just isn't enough. And if you look, the 76ers sent a king's ransom to the Thunder for him. And the Thunder are in a really good spot. I think they have 2 first-round draft picks for the next until like 2027.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in a good spot. Yeah, Lakers. I mean, the Clippers are gonna be doo-doo for a long time, though. There's just no way around that. I mean, they're second place, if anything. Well, this year they were what, 4th?
Yeah, I think they'll be good. I think if Kawhi Leonard can turn into the type of player that LeBron is, or he doesn't need a coach, or even Kevin Durant, where he can win whether or not you have a good coach, then I think they'll be good. But obviously, we haven't really seen that from him. He went from Greg Popovich to the Raptors and then to Doc Rivers, and Doc Rivers was the worst performance out of him. So it looks like good coaching has a huge impact on Kawhi Leonard's gameplay.
Right. Yeah, Doc Rivers is the worst coach that he's ever played for. So maybe that's one of his... Yeah, I mean, you want a player that you can coach, and Kawhi is one of those players, right? He's still a very good player, so if you put him under a bad coach, what do you expect? So do you want to go into the NFL and I had a bad week pick'ems. I don't know about you.
I had a pretty good week. Let me pull up the game schedule so I know how we did.
We started off the week by getting the Jaguars-Dolphins game wrong, which big blow to my ego. I don't know what's going on in the league anymore. Honestly, it's all a shamble. But the 49ers-Giants game, I know we got that one right.
Manhandled that team.
The Giants, like, looking at this game, I'm like, okay, 49ers are dead, but the Giants are also dead. So a close game that the 49ers win. No, it
Not
was
even close.
It was a blowout. It was a blowout. The 49ers destroyed what? Nick Mullins got like what? I think he led the league this week in passing yards.
Unless
Patrick Mahomes like blew him out.
Maybe.
But I'm not sure.
But yeah, the Giant, like a lot of people were saying that the Niners are still contenders because of this.
No,
I wouldn't go so far. The football in New York is just bad. The
it is
Jets and
very
Giants
bad.
are terrible. But this does give hope that the Niners didn't mess up against the Giants, right? They still played even with backups. They played like a good team. So if they can stay afloat until their starters come back, Garoppolo and Kittle and Sherman and guys like that, then they will have a real shot in the playoffs.
Right.
But because also like not D Ford, Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas
Are
being out
gone.
for the season are obviously huge blows, but that just takes the Niners from being the best defense in the league to being
An okay
top
defense.
10.
Yeah.
Like losing him is big, but it still is. We're still better than a majority of other defenses. The only big thing about this game is that our other corner, Emmanuel Mosley, got hurt. He had a concussion, I think. So I don't know how long he's going to be in concussion protocol, but he'll probably be out for
What's the name of
this
the
week.
backup tight end that you brought in because Gronk was injured?
Jordan Reed.
He's out for 6 to 8 weeks with like a hamstring injury, but it's not that big of a deal because Gronk should be back next week, or not Gronk, Kittle should be back next week. So it's just you guys. If Kittle gets hurt again, you'll be pretty screwed.
Yeah.
But God, the Giants are doo doo. Like they're what? They're 0-3 now, right?
Yeah. They're 0-3, and if they win one more game, they're tied for division lead.
Right. The NFC East is terrible. Terrible. We should get through all the.
Oh, speaking of that, Washington Browns is next.
Right. Washington Browns, which we both said the Browns, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
there's not much there. The Browns won. They beat them. Before we get to the Bengals Eagles game, let's talk about the NFC East a little bit more. I think the Washington football team are back in first place because Dallas lost. I think like point differential, whatever. Like, but they're both 1-2. Dallas and Washington football team are 1-2.
Are 1-0 in the division, so
right.
They're better.
They're right. So they're both 1-2. Then falls the 0-1 Eagles. Then the 0-3 New York Giants. How bad of a division could this be? Like,
just for comparison, okay, the 49ers are the worst team in their division and they're 2-1.
Right. And like it would have been and they have an actual shot to get back into first because everyone this week lost basically except for the Seahawks, but their loss is coming. So it's like frustrating to see because it's not like, I don't know, it's like it's bad football, and whatever team comes out of that division shouldn't be in the playoffs, and it's just gonna get destroyed, right? When like all 4 NFC West teams could make it and actually have a good run.
Now that there's 7 teams that make the play, it's like you just put the bottom, because they're not even going to be the bottom seed; they'll be the 4th seed.
Right.
So it's like you're putting them up against whoever the 5 seed is. The best wild card is going to be which means probably either the Niners, the Rams, or the Cardinals are going to be
one of those teams
wins this division.
Probably the Cowboys, if I had to guess. Even then, they still wouldn't deserve it, right? It's like
if the Cowboys make it, I think the Rams will probably beat them, and the Cardinals will. Like the Cardinals and Rams are only teams that I think the Cowboys would have a shot at if they were the 4th seed. And even then, I'm very confident in the NFC West team still.
Right. So let's talk about an NFC East team. The Eagles tied with the Bengals. And I think you picked the Eagles and I picked the Bengals, right? So neither of us
just throw this one away.
Well, no, this is a tie, John. We tied. All right. We didn't get the pick right or wrong. We just tied.
We got it wrong. We said they would win. They didn't, so we're wrong.
No, this game frustrated me so much because, like, I was watching the 1:00 games, right? And I was like, oh, the Eagles and Bengals are still playing. So I tuned it back to watch that one, only to watch the Eagles drive downfield, get in field goal range, and then punt it. And so it's like, why not just kick the field goal to
Maybe
win?
he just wasn't feeling himself that day. He's like, "Yo, coach, I can't make this. You gonna have to punt it."
Right. He was like, okay, I think it was like they got into field goal range, so like 50 yards out, then like a holding or delay a game penalty, something stupid that pushes them back. And so now it was like a 60-yarder. And I'm pretty sure Jake Elliott has hit 60-yarders.
Hit a record, I think, like 63, or he tied a record.
Right. So like he's hit bombs out from out there.
He went 3 for 3 in this game. He hit a 54-yarder.
So it's like, just let him kick it. Like there's no like you win or you tie. Like at least go for it, right? Like so. Yeah, that was really stupid. I don't know. The Eagles, they I'm looking at them as like, okay, you're 0-3. Should you be 0-3? No. But
they're not. They're 0-2-1.
Oh yeah, they're 0-2-1. So like it's like, how bad are you? Like I get it. They're injured, like but it's like they still have their head coach. Doug Peterson's a good head coach. Carson Wentz is a good quarterback, and yeah, he hasn't been playing great, but it's like, I don't know. This team is confusing me because it's like I look at their team, I'm like, you shouldn't be bad. You know, there should be.
The Eagles are that team that like if you look at the roster, they should have like the highest Madden rating, but then when they actually play, they finish the season out 9-7. You're like, how? How did this happen? Like,
what happened? What did you do? And I don't know. That's just that's what that is with the Eagles for me. I don't know. I don't know if you have anything else to say about that.
No. I enjoyed.
Joe Burrow's going to be good
between Joe Burrow and Carson
yeah.
Wentz.
This is another thing from this game that pains me to see. Joe Burrow just getting tossed around like a rag doll. Did you see some of the clips from this game?
I did. It's
terrible.
The line is bad.
It's terrible.
Terrible.
Right. But Joe Burrow, he's brand new. Like he's literally like, he's lived his entire life behind a good offensive line. Like LSU has they're powerhouse, right? Like they might not produce offensive line, but like they still have really good offensive line.
Yeah.
So it's painful to see him just get like ragdolled back there. Like the worst.
Joe Burrow's gonna live that Texans quarterback existence.
Right. Just
stuck,
tossed. Like, and it's not like the Bengals haven't invested in offensive linemen. Like I think they
keep getting hurt too.
Right.
They keep getting hurt, or they'll be bust. They had some guy that drafted like 2 or 3 years ago was just flat out bust.
Right. Like they're putting capital into offensive linemen. Yeah. It's not panning out. And I think the worst hit from that game was like some dude came out, got his legs from under Joe, and then another dude just came out of nowhere and just walloped him in the head. So yeah, no, please get Joe out of there or get him some help or something. Okay, so Raiders Patriots games.
We both said Patriots.
Yeah,
the Raiders aren't really good.
The Raiders. I mean, they were good. They forced the Patriots to run all over them. So like, I mean, that's something, right? Like, the Patriots wasn't like Cam Newton had a bad fantasy week. So there's that, right? I don't know. Bears, Falcons.
Bears, Falcons. This is one I got right. You got wrong.
It shouldn't have been that way. It shouldn't have been that way. The Falcons, God has forsaken the Falcons. They okay. The Falcons, I think if there wasn't a fourth quarter, would be 2-1, right? They'd be 2-1 if a fourth quarter did not exist. How functionally terrible as a team do you have to be to blow 2 16-point leads? Or no, the Bears have come back from 2 16-point leads in the fourth quarter, but the Falcons have blown, I don't know, big boy leads in the fourth quarter, and it's like, how? Like, just keep doing what you're doing from the first like 3 quarters of the game. Why do you have to change it up in the last?
Because they didn't game plan for Nick Foles, man. Okay, they didn't account for Big Nick
Richard
to come in
Richard
throw 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
When you are outscoring Matt Ryan, then you are doing very well.
Which this was a down game for Calvin Ridley. mainly because he didn't get a touchdown. He still had like 100 yards. Big Richard came to the game. Big Richard Nick. He's the starter now. He's the starter now. He's the starter now, which is surprising because Mitchell Trubisky, hasn't been playing great, but he's 2-0. He's undefeated. There are quarterbacks in this league that are 0-2, right? So interesting.
Looking at you, Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow has a tie under his belt. Okay. He technically hasn't lost every game he's played in. Like Mitchell Trubisky, he's played all right, like enough to keep his starting job, and Big Richard just stole it from under him. Like the coaches, I'm assuming, wanted him to start from the beginning. Like they only
I don't know about that. I think the coaches wanted Mitch Trubisky to do good.
Yeah, Nick Foles.
Obviously, he won the starting job in the offseason, right? That's why he kept it. I think the fact that they were down by so much and he wasn't doing anything. Mitchell Trubisky isn't going to do anything outside of the offense. He's a robot. He's like a Jared Goff in my eyes. Actually, I take it back. I think Jared Goff's slightly better, and I think Jared Goff is a system quarterback. So I think Mitchell Trubisky.
And there's nothing wrong with the system quarterback when the system is run by Sean McVay.
But Nick Foles is a better version of Mitchell Trubisky. Like, there's nothing Mitchell Trubisky does that I say Nick Foles can't do better.
Yeah, Nick Foles or Big Richard is just a better quarterback than Mitchell Trubisky, and that's like, it just is what it is. And he probably should have been starter week 1, but I feel like what I'm saying is the Bears coaching staff had like this, like they wanted to start Mitchell Trubisky just so they wouldn't admit that they were wrong about him. You know, like, because obviously Nick Foles isn't the permanent solution for the Bears. They're probably going to draft Brock Purdy, maybe. You know,
if they are going 3-0, if they keep this trend up, they're not going to have the cap or the draft capital to get a high-end quarterback. Like, Brock Purdy is good, but I think if Brock Purdy, I could see this happening with Brock Purdy. He isn't going to perform statistically well, so he's going to fly under the radar all season, and he's not going to get any attention. And then that weird thing that happens like a month before the draft where people start watching film and they're like, hey, this guy's really good, like better than Trevor Lawrence good. Remember? Like last year, people did it with Jordan Love.
He got so much hype for no good reason, right? Yeah. And all the negatives of Jordan Love was like, well, he got a new offensive coordinator, he got a new head coach, so it's fine.
It's that underdog guy that you start making excuses for. I could see that happening to Brock Purdy. But if you watch his film, we believe he's actually good.
Yeah.
But I could see him being the guy that just comes up at the end kind of randomly, and then he's going to go in the top 15, and if the Bears keep winning, they won't have that pick.
See, my thing for Brock is the number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks in this draft are pretty solidified, and the number 3 of what's his name, the NC North Dakota State, his spot as like the number 2, number 3 quarterback is like pretty solidified as well. So,
which is weird to me because I hadn't heard anything about him prior to this season, and now like 2 games in, everyone's like, he's the number 3 quarterback.
He hasn't played this season. They're only going to play 1, but last season he threw like 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions from the same school that Carson Wentz came from, right? So like I think that's where most of his hype comes from, is like, well, Carson Wentz went here.
If Carson Wentz can do it, then he can do it.
Well, also, you know, he threw 28 touchdowns without an interception, which is pretty good, right? Like,
that's good, yeah. I mean, there's no arguing like that.
Yeah, like that is a really good stat line to have as a quarterback. You don't throw interceptions? What is this? Someone that's not Jameis Winston? 30 for 30? Just the 30, you say? So that's where his appeal comes from. But let's go back to making fun of the Falcons a little bit more. The Falcons, they blew 2 leads this year, right? The Falcons. Do you think what's his name, Dan Quinn, gets fired from the. I think he's gonna get fired. Yeah, end of the
Yeah.
year.
I don't think they'll do it mid-season. I hope they don't. I think that would be bad.
See,
Um,
Falcons are
'cause it's
talented.
the way- Yeah, they're talented. But again, I mean,
They've blown
ever
2
since the
leads.
Super Bowl, they have never had a healthy defense. You look at that game and they showed the injured players, and it was like 6 defensive
Also,
starters were
their
hurt.
like starting corner is the first player to test positive for COVID and got like benched basically.
Yeah. So it's like every year since that blown 28-3 lead, they have never had a healthy defense. So when your defensive or when your coach is a defensive minded coach, right? Like Dan Quinn is a defensive minded coach who is blessed with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and all these other guys, right? He kind of just says, "You take over the offense." Which I think this is a
Which
big
is
part of his
great,
problem.
'cause
He
they-
gives his offense to the offensive coordinator, and clearly Kyle Shanahan messed it up in the Super Bowl. Since then, their offensive coordinators have been continually messing it up.
In the fourth quarter.
yeah, so
or
I think it's time
maybe he takes over in the fourth, and that's the problem. What if it's
I don't
that?
think he would. Why would he? If his like
Because they're doing so great, so why not coach a little? Why not have some
Let
fun?
me get my hands in there. I want to do a little bit of it, and they lose. He's like,
He's like-
bro, offensive coordinator, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Why'd you let me take over? Like, we were winning. Like, what is your problem, dude? Maybe we're not in that building, so we don't know their situation. Like, what changed? Like, something has to change in the fourth quarter, right? Like,
I think what might happen is that they don't change, right? Like they
right.
aren't adjusting their game plan, and the other team is.
Which we have a really good example of a team that changes their game plan. The Rams-Bills game. If you would have asked me how well the Rams played in like the first half of the game, I would have told you the Rams are getting destroyed by the Bills. The Bills came in there and just beat up the Rams in the first half of that game. And then in the second half, the Rams scored 29 points and forced the Bills to go on a game-winning drive, which they did, and they won the game.
Yep. I got that one right too.
Right. But the thing about this game was it was a good game. Like,
It was. They kept showing highlights of it during the Niners Giants game because we were up like 28-6, and so they're
Right.
like, "Hey, we're gonna show you clips from this better game because
right.
you guys." The one thing I will say though is, at the time, I was under the impression that Jalen Ramsey was playing really well against Stephon Diggs because I have Stephon Diggs in
Yeah.
fantasy, and up until I think third or fourth quarter, he hadn't even caught a pass.
Yeah.
However, upon further inspection, I realized, or I was informed that Stephon Diggs caught 4 touchdown passes on Jalen Ramsey, and 3 of them were called back.
Right.
You watched this game? Is that true?
I don't know. I didn't watch the first half because I was just disgusted by the Rams play. I decided to tune back in because you know what? It's the second half. Maybe they've made some adjustments, which they did. They made really great adjustments and forced like they beat up the Bills in the second half of the game, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just the Bills had a 28-3 lead on them. So if you're a good team, you don't blow that kind of lead. Falcons.
Falcons.
Right? So it's like teams don't blow 28-3 leads if they're good, and the Bills are a good team. So, but the Rams being able to come out of from halftime and like adjusting to the Bills' offense, fixing their defense, getting their offensive going. So, the Rams lost, but it's one of those things where it's like it's not a bad loss, right? Like,
I mean, you're still second in the division, third.
right? Well, the Cardinals lost too, which is
Cardinals.
great. Which their loss is even more embarrassing. Okay, Steelers,
Texans. I was sad to see this one. Like, we were right. The Steelers won, but I don't want them to win. And
the
there was
Steelers,
a point when the Texans were up.
They were.
I was very happy.
Okay, so the Steelers are what, 3-0, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
they're number one in their division now.
The thing about the Steelers is, though, the teams that they've played are 0-9.
Are bad teams.
They're 0-9. The team's collective record that they've played is 0-9. So is it the Steelers? And none of their games have been blowouts either. It's all been close games.
I think the Giants game was the worst game.
Right, which even then it was fairly close, like 12, 14 points. I don't know, 2 touchdowns, which I guess isn't close, but it's like in this league, 2 touchdowns.
For the Bears, if you're playing the Falcons, that's pretty close.
Right. I mean, let's be honest. If you're playing the Falcons, you're down by 40. That's pretty close. So the Steelers, they're good. I think they're just not. They're gonna like, or say this. They're going to have a win. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to have a winning record. It's completely based off their schedule and how easy it is. Come playoff time,
like the Chargers, the year that they went, 13-3 or whatever,
right?
And then lost because they were just tricking everyone. Like when you're blowing out the Arizona Cardinals, who end up with the number 1 pick again, like it's not impressive.
Right. It's so the Steelers are going to make the playoffs and get destroyed by the Ravens or the Chiefs, right? Like any good AFC team is going to steamroll.
If they get the 1 seed, or not the 1 seed in their division, right? They'll
like three or 2.
Yeah, they'll probably be behind the Chiefs and the Patriots, I think, which would give them 3.
3 or 4.
I think they'll be behind the Chiefs, and then whoever wins between the Bills and the Patriots, that division, they'll probably be 3. Which means I think
you have the Ravens at 4. You're saying they win their division. Okay.
I'm saying if they win their division, this is how it will work out.
I forgot the Ravens are in their division.
Yeah, they're going to either end up playing the Bills or the Ravens, I think, in the first round, which I think both of those teams beat them.
Yeah, the Bills would destroy Josh Allen is a good quarterback. It's safe to say now. Like
he did it.
He's good. he's a mobile quarterback that's white. So, it's another team that blew a lead? The Minnesota Vikings. When I was watching, I didn't watch this game, but I tuned into it for a second. And when I was watching, I was like, oh, the Vikings are destroying the Titans. It's close, but it's not even close, right? It's one of those things. And then the Titans, and then I checked the final scores. I'm like, the Titans won? How? So
3-0, baby.
Yeah, which we both got this right?
Tennessee, yeah.
Okay.
We said the Lions are the only team the Vikings are going to beat all year.
Which there's some doubt on that claim now, but we'll get to it when we get to it. I don't know. The Vikings are doo-doo, but there's they played well.
Kirk has played significantly better. He threw 2 interceptions.
Right. This is they were winning this game. They just did a Titans, right? There's not much to say. I don't know. They should have won, but they didn't. We know the Titans
should have won, ended up not.
Right. We know the Titans are good, and there's just not much to say about this game because the Vikings lost, and it's what else did we expect, right?
Yeah, it's what we expect. The outcome's what we expected, but what happened during the game was surprising, but then it just fell flat anyway. So
right, it's surprising, really, but it's it's not enough to change our opinion on the Vikings, right? Which next week we're gonna have a doozy of a pick'ems when it comes to the Vikings game because they're playing the Texans, but.
This next game, I'm upset. Okay, you convinced me that the Chargers were gonna beat the Panthers because I didn't want to pick the Chargers. I'm I don't like the Chargers. I don't want to pick them. I want to give the underdog the shot. And you're like, no, Christian McCaffrey, sir, he's not gonna win. Okay, and then look who won. Look who won.
the
Panthers beating the Chargers.
I thought. Honest to God, I thought the Chargers were slightly better than how?
The exact opposite of what happened week 1. I convinced you the Panthers were gonna beat the Raiders because they had Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, he's enough. And then now you convinced me the Panthers are doo-doo. And look at this. Look at this. Okay, just flip our Panther picks and we're good.
Yeah, the Panthers didn't play good though. That's the thing. It wasn't it's just the Chargers played worse. Right? If you look at the game, and I watched the game, and it was literally I think the Panthers kicker popped off this game. Yeah, he kicked 5 field goals this game.
Made all of them.
I think he scored 20 points in fantasy. I don't know, which I mean, this could be a new strategy.
Like
The Chargers defense is good enough to stop you from getting into the end zone, or like,
but you're gonna get field goals out.
Right, you're gonna get field goals. So pick up whatever kicker is playing the Panthers. You might also just. Oh yeah, the Chargers. Whatever team is playing the Chargers, pick up the opposing kicker, and you're just gonna rake. You're gonna rake out there. The boy. I mean, assuming it's a good kicker and can actually make their kicks. But
yeah.
So
don't go get like the Dolphins kickers,
right? And let's not be stupid. But like, it's just one of those things where it's like, are the Chargers that bad? I thought they were slightly better.
No,
they're that bad. I knew they were bad, but it's like.
So the Chargers are the one team that's like they could beat the Chiefs like every year for some reason, no matter how bad they are, they just beat the Chiefs, and it's like, what are you doing that you would lose to this team? Like look at them.
Like literally, all you had to do was stop their passing attack, because what are they going to do? Attack you with Mike Davis, right? Like, ooh, Mike Davis,
13 carries for 46 yards,
and it's not like. I guess they well, Mike Davis also popped off receiving. All right, he had the only receiving touchdown. So I like, the thing is also, I guess they played good defense, right? Like Teddy Bridgewater, 200 yards, 1 touchdown. That's
they
not
played bend don't break,
right?
And the Chargers, like both these teams played bend don't break, and it's literally the Chargers bent further, and so they lost.
Yeah, like the Chargers, if you look at their stat line. I guess has a better stat line. I don't know. It's like there's really like it just makes me not trust in the Chargers.
Is Justin Herbert's 1 interception to Teddy Bridgewater's not having 1. That's the only significant difference in this game. And notice the Panthers won by less than a touchdown, right? Like that 1 turnover was enough to lose this game.
So. All this does is put a little bit more respect on the Panthers and put a little less respect on the Chargers. Like, but not enough to where like next week I'm picking the Chargers or I'm picking the Panthers to win or whatever. Like, it's just enough to be like, oh, they might just ruin my pick'ems. Like that's all it is. The Jets Colts. The Colts destroyed. Like the Colts destroyed the Jets. There's not much to say here.
Yeah. New York football is bad. That's all it is.
The only thing you can say is if your team is playing the Giants or the Jets, pick the defense. Pick their defense. Like, it does not matter. Like, the 49ers defense was murdered, and they still destroyed the Giants. The Colts defense, I was going to pick them up, but Malik Hooker's injury scared me, so I didn't. And I decided to pick up the Buccaneers defense, which...
How many points did the Colts defense end up getting?
25. I think in our league, which I mean the Bucks picked up like 16, so it was like it wasn't like I picked like a defense that got like 2 points, but it was like
I think the Niners defense had about 16 too, so we canceled out, and you could have significantly won that individual battle. So
right, which I mean I did win the whole thing, John. And if you want to go there, John, I murdered you.
We're not there yet.
Okay, all right, I'll wait. I'll wait. Cowboys, Seahawks. I was rooting for the Cowboys this game, even though we both picked the Seahawks, right?
Yeah.
So I was rooting for the Cowboys in this game because we haven't talked about the Cardinals game yet, but they lost, and the Rams lost, and the 49ers already have a loss. So if the Seahawks would have lost, that would have just evened out the NFC West, right? Like back to square one. You know, where are we now? But they beat the Cowboys because the Cowboys are just bad. Like
they're another team that needs to fire their coach,
which they've done, and they thought picking up Mike McCarthy was a solution, but it's not.
Go pick up Jay Gruden, bruh. Literally the best head coach on the market. I'm gonna say this all season. Jay Gruden is the guy you need to go.
Oh wait, we didn't even talk about this. So the Jets. Like the Colts let in I want to say like 1,000 fans into their game, right? And like maybe 50 of those fans were Jets fans, and they started up a "Fire Adam Gase" chant during the game in the stadium, and I think that's the most wonderful thing in the world. I love that. Like you managed to like rally your people in an area that's like massive, right? And it's not like there's only like 50 people in the stadium, or like 1,000 people in the stadium, right? So like those people talking actually can be heard on the field. Yeah. So I think that's hilarious. But yeah, let's go back to making fun of the Cowboys. Cowboys doo-doo. They lost because Dak Prescott threw an interception that he shouldn't have thrown, like at the very end of the game.
It's games like these though that they make me question Ezekiel Elliott. Like he doesn't look like. I remember he had his first 2 years were great, but since then he's been an average run. Like he has 14 carries for 34 yards and a touchdown in this game. Like
right, but
is it not top tier running back?
Is it that he's a top obviously? I think it's more defensive coordinators deciding to block Ezekiel Elliott and then forcing the Cowboys to win with Dak Prescott. I think that's what it is more likely, and it works because you take away Ezekiel Elliott, and yeah, Dak Prescott's good, but he's not good enough to lead the Cowboys to like on a game-winning drive. This game actually, if we do want to talk about fantasy, was a very big game because we played each other this week, right? And you had who was it? Chris Carson,
Mark Cooper, Chris Carson, and DK Metcalf. I didn't start DK Metcalf.
Yeah, which you should have.
I should have started him over Chris Carson, but
or Stephon Diggs.
No, Stephon Diggs. So I should have moved Chris Carson to my flex and started. If I'd started DK Metcalf in my flex and had Jerick McKinnon in my starter, then my lineup would have been optimized.
Okay,
DK
I see you.
Metcalf is the only guy on my bench that would have scored more points.
Right, which I mean, I almost
so it wouldn't have made a difference.
But yeah, in the final outcome, and my lineup wasn't even optimized either. Actually, it was pretty close to optimized.
It was just the one 30-point player.
Which I could have. Honestly, the only thing I could have taken out was my Devontae Parker that only scored 11 points, and then move in my right. So I could have broken 200 easily if I would have optimized my lineup. But this game was very big because at the end of this game, I still had Aaron Jones and Patrick Mahomes that still needed to play. But depending on how many points Chris Carson and Amari Cooper got, would have been like, because I believe when this game ended, I was up by like 20 points. So that's like my cushion of like, no, I was up 20 points after Aaron Jones played, right? So like my cushion.
I think after this game specifically, you were down by like 5.
Right.
Like those are a really small number. I still wasn't even projected to win.
Right. I was down by like 5, and I had Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Jones, which Patrick Mahomes in the end balled out, and it doesn't even matter because I blew you out. But it was one of those things where it's like, well, if the Ravens stop Patrick Mahomes, how many points can Aaron Jones build of a cushion? Which he ultimately built like 20 points.
I still had Mark Ingram to play too.
Which our Mark Ingram did do.
Given the Chiefs have a bad defensive, it's like he might or he might not, which clearly he did.
He did not. But my whole thing was in this game was like, I hope that Chris Carson and Amari Cooper do terrible because I'd rather have the 20-point cushion to fall back on, because we see this all the time in fantasy where like you have like a 20, 30-point lead and it takes one player to absolutely ruin your hopes and dreams. Like it just happens, right? So, but this game I got lucky because the Cowboys absolutely refused to throw to Amari Cooper on that last drive.
I don't understand.
And Chris Carson got
sitting there like, just do it.
Right. Like he's wide open in the crossing route, and it's like, no, I'm not gonna throw it to you. No, I won't do it. And then Chris Carson got gator rolled. You saw that, right?
Yeah, he got hurt. When did he leave the game?
Like early fourth.
Early fourth, yeah.
But
it didn't matter though. They were forcing Russell Wilson to throw it anyway.
Yeah, but the thing about his injury is he got gator rolled by a Cowboys defensive lineman. I think like the defensive lineman tackled him to the ground, grabbed his foot, and then gator rolled and like sprained his knee. So I think he's day to day right now. But that could change.
I'm already gonna cut Mark Ingram, and now I have Chris Carson and Christian McCaffrey out, and it's like, Brett, I have no running. I have the best receivers in our league, but I have no running backs.
Yo, I got a running back named James Robinson, dog. You saw what he did. I'll take
Aaron Jones.
No,
for Julio Jones. Jones for Jones. That's a fair trade.
That's not a fair trade because I have Calvin Ridley, which I see as the better fantasy receiver. Which Aaron Jones this week technically underperformed.
Technically,
right?
But, I mean, he's the number one running back.
Right. He technically underperformed because he scored one less point than he was supposed to. Which, yeah. Which next? The Lions beat the Arizona Cardinals. Let's go. This game,
so the Vikings aren't going to get a win this season. That's what I'm.
The Vikings. We can safely say the Vikings go 0-16 this year. That is crazy.
We're gonna have 3 0-16 teams for the first time in NFL history. Both New York teams and the Vikings are actually winless.
Yeah. This game, I was happy to watch it. Like, it made me happy seeing the outcome, but at the same time, was like, how do you, Arizona? How do you do this? How do you, like?
Kyler Murray just threw interceptions. Like, it's crazy. He threw 3 interceptions, but he still got me more points than Matt Ryan did.
Because Matt Ryan did
like 11, and Kyler Murray got me 21 because I think it's because of his rushing touchdown.
Right.
But still, 3 interceptions. I think Matt Ryan only had 1, and it's like that's a pretty big difference.
I don't think Matt Ryan threw a single touchdown.
No, he did. He threw one touchdown
compared to Kyler Murray's 2 or 3.
And he had only like 30 less yards. So
right. But so the Cardinals lost this on a game-winning field goal.
Yeah, Matt Prater. That's my boy.
This does 2 things for me. It makes me question the Arizona Cardinals, right? Because before this game, I was like, oh, they're obviously a playoff-bound team, which I still think they're a playoff-bound team, but it's like, are they still a good team, right? Like,
they're the 7th seed now,
right?
Because of this game.
And my second thing is, the Lions just screwed up their tanking ability. They're now, in my eyes, a 8-8, 7-9 team, and it's like, well, you guys are bad. That's too much credit, right? That's too much credit.
They
but
go 3-13. They'll sweep the Vikings.
Okay, but this gives Matt Patricia the rest of the season.
That's what I said. I'm like, he's gonna get the rest of the season because, again, even last year they only lost when they didn't have Matthew Stafford. Granted, they didn't have Matthew Stafford from week 4 on, but they only lost when they didn't have Matthew Stafford.
They went 3-13, but they still went.
He can trick you that he needs Matthew, and even this season, if he can be like, "Hey, we lost Darius Slay, and Jeffrey Okudah didn't live up to the hype."
He did. He got an interception, right?
So it's like, if he can trick upper management into being like, every year something happens or we lose someone, and if I just had them, we would have been good. So
yeah, I think he can definitely keep his job for another year, especially if they win another 2-3 games, and it's against teams like the Cardinals that are projected to be playoff bound teams. If they could lose all the tank bowls, but if they somehow win another game against like the Saints, if they win next week against the Saints, like, he's gonna keep his job. Like, there's no question about it that Matt Patricia is gonna keep that job, because he's gonna be like, well, we did beat the Cardinals.
I'm gonna go 2-2, finish the season 2-14, be like, but look who I beat.
Look who we beat.
Watch the Cardinals and the Saints go to the NFC Championship game, and he's like, look at who I beat. Okay, you can't tell me I'm a bad guy.
Which, in that case, it's like, well, if you beat the 2 best NFC teams, why aren't you there? It's like, well, no, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. All right,
let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is a stepping stone. Okay, we're here for a journey.
Yeah, we're here for a good time, not a long time. The Bucks, Broncos. Yeah, we both got this. We got the Cardinals game wrong.
Was bad,
which we shouldn't have. But yeah, Driscoll was bad. He got benched in the 4th for Brett Rippin.
Yeah.
Which Rippin wasn't great. I mean, he was ripping it, but to the wrong team.
Yeah.
The Bucks won. There's not much else to say. The Bucks are okay.
Yeah. 2-1. They're good enough to be the worst team in the NFC West.
Yeah. Packers Saints game. This was a
I was
nice
sad.
game. Why were you sad?
The Saints were gonna win.
No,
and they didn't.
They did not. Which this game was funny because this was a game because I have what's his name, Matt Crosby, and you have Will Lutz in our
canceled out, didn't they?
No, Matt Crosby won. He got like 3 extra points. But this game was funny for me because I also had Will Lutz in my other fantasy league. So it was like, I want Will Lutz to do good, but I want Matt Crosby to do just as good, because if the kicker's points cancel out, then I just have to worry about Aaron Jones and how many points he's going to get me, right? So I was right. Packers won. Saints doo-doo.
Yeah, I didn't do good in my primetime games. I said the Saints were going to win, and then I said the Ravens were going to win, which they
Did
sucked.
Not. I said the
Lamar
Chiefs
Jackson
right.
looked terrible.
Mm-hmm. About the Saints game, I don't remember, but I don't think Drew Brees threw it down the field, right? Like he had the same issue.
One pass on the field the whole game, I think.
Okay, so it's the same issue.
Touchdown to Emmanuel Sanders. So during the Saints-Packers game, I thought it looked like Drew Brees was like visibly shaking, like he was nervous the entire like.
Well, it was against his family.
The first half,
all right.
And then same with Sean Payton too. Like his what is it? The game, the play sheet he was holding was just shaking every time he went to change his hand. Like they looked visibly scared, like they weren't going to do well this game, and it was weird seeing that from those two people specifically.
My only thing about this is it's very obvious. The last game they did it, and this game they're doing it. They are shoving the ball down Alvin Kamara's throat, and it's amazing to see how far down it goes. Like how far down it goes his throat. Like he gets. I mean, he didn't get all the rushing attempts. He split. He got just as many rushing yards
pretty good
as Latavius Murray, but he got the same amount of yards. But receiving wise, he led the team in receiving.
He's the number one receiver.
Right, he's the number one receiver as running back. So
he is the 4th best player on that offense, in my opinion.
Who's 1, 2, 3?
Think Drew Brees is better than him. I think both the offensive tackles are better than him, but that's more position specific, right?
Right.
And then
which you'd want.
And Michael Thomas is healthy. Michael Thomas is 1, so he's 5th. But I think that shows how top heavy they are. Is like they are without their number 1 player, who's their skill player, and so they were shoving it down Alvin Kamara's throat because they don't trust him.
They don't have anything else.
For whatever reason, I don't know why. Well, he's actually good.
They tossed him a ball for a touchdown this game,
but it was like the only target he had.
He had 4 technically.
But
yeah, they for some odd reason they are not willing to throw to him.
They are showing plays during the game where like Emmanuel Sanders gets wide open, Drew Brees is about to throw, and then checks down to Alvin Kamara, and I'm like, why? Why not?
Because it's past 10 yards, John. We all know Drew Brees can't throw it past 10 yards for some odd reason.
That's it. I think he's getting old, and I think him and
which
Sean
Drew
Payton
Brees, I believe, like Drew Brees pre-exists us, John, as like major NFL fans, but I believe like it's never been a part of Drew Brees' game, like the massive cannon of an arm. So like now that he's getting older, he's losing the arm that he has. So it's like.
So he has always been able to spread it down the field, right? Like if he needs to throw the deep ball, he can. It's not even a difficult thing for him to do, right? Like he's not known like Aaron Rodgers for his deep balls, but he
can do it. He's capable.
He will scare you deep. You need
every once in a while. Yeah.
But now, like he's not Tom Brady, where it's like every yard's under 5 yards, right? Like he's gonna spread.
He throws 10 yards.
But it's like now it looks like he won't throw it down the field, and that's not a good sign.
Yeah, maybe he just thinks he'll embarrass himself, or like there's obviously something there that they'll have to figure out going forward. And maybe they draft someone like Brock Purdy, maybe.
They have Jameis Winston.
Gosh, you're right. You're right.
I said this at the beginning of the season before Drew Brees even started playing like this way. I think he's going to retire at the end of the year, and Jameis Winston's going to inherit the team.
Which, sucks for Taysom Hill, but he fumbled in that game, so
yeah, he had a big mistake.
Yeah, big boy mistake, and that's going to cost him some big boy playing time. Chiefs.
Remember that time you fumbled? You don't get the team.
you don't get to be quarterback anymore. This other guy that we have, he hasn't fumbled technically. He hasn't played it down, but he hasn't fumbled. So
talk to us when you throw 30 touchdowns.
And don't mention his 30 interceptions because he's very sensitive about that, and that'd be very not cash money of you, Taysom Hill. Okay. Chiefs, Ravens. It was I don't know.
It wasn't even a good game. I was watching it until halftime, and I went and did my homework, and I was done.
Which I only watched like the fourth quarter, and by that point, it was pretty much like we won. The Chiefs were like, "Yeah, we won. It is what it is." There's not really any competition here.
We already had the Rams come back and lose. We had the Bears come back. There's not going to be another comeback. Okay, we're done.
We're done with comebacks for this week. Which, I mean, we didn't give enough respect to the Eagles for coming back and tying. Okay, the Bengals were beating up on the Eagles, but let's talk some fantasy, John. Okay, so I whooped you in fantasy. Which is surprising because I didn't really have any. Well, I guess Keenan Allen was my ball out player, and then Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. But other than that, it was like they all did okay.
So my biggest thing was Mark Ingram did terrible.
He did,
and then Chase Young
got hurt. But that's only like 4 or 5 points. It's not, but it's still 4 or 5 points that you lost.
Yeah. So if Mark Ingram had scored, I'd say he gets me 6 points at most. If Mark Ingram had done anything, I mean, if Chase Young had got me points, he'd get me probably 6 points. He was the number one defensive lineman going into this week. Mark Ingram, if he'd done anything at all, like he just needed to get me 10 points, and the projection would have said that I would be close, right?
Right.
But the biggest thing would be DK Metcalf. I didn't start him. I should have. I don't really know what else to say. But like other than him, my lineup was optimized.
Yeah. See, what I got from this game is I'm not going to get rid of Bobby Wagner. I'm going to let Micah Kiser start one more game because I'm assuming he just had a really bad down. Like he just had a really down game. Like he had a good game playing wise, but it's just like stat wise, he had a bad game. So, and his peak is way higher than Bobby Wagner's consistency. So like I'm riding on that, and if he just doesn't perform next week, then like the Rams are playing the Giants. So if he can't do it, then I'm just gonna have to let him go and put Bobby Wagner in because that's a consistent 7 points, and I'll take the consistent 7 over the either 2 points or 15.
The other problem for me was Zach Ertz and Keenan Allen overperformed for you by a lot. And I'm like, bruh, you tied and you lost, and you out here scoring 15 and 30 points. What are you doing?
Yeah, Calvin Ridley, technically, he underperformed. Devontae Parker underperformed. Aaron Jones underperformed. Nick Chubb performed. Like 20 points is around what I expected him to do. Zach Ertz and Keenan Allen overperformed, which is really good. The Bucs defense essentially canceled out, and our kickers canceled out essentially. But it's just Patrick Mahomes destroyed. He just bought out, and that wasn't even my most optimized lineup either. So I had James Robinson, which I should have put at the flex and then put Keenan Allen in and taken out Devontae Parker, but I'm not even upset about it. Let's go.
Yeah. So going into this game, I was like, I don't care about like whether I win or lose. I didn't care because in our league, everyone makes the playoffs. So
Yeah.
you can pull a Jordan, lose every single game, and you're fine. But then I realized, wait a minute, pull a Jordan. Jordan lost to Ruben
Yeah.
this week. So that means that me at the number 1 seed would be playing Jordan. And this loss is going to cost me that seed. I want the number 1 seed. I don't care about anything else because going into this game, I'm like, hey, I don't care. We're all going to make the playoffs. Now I'm like, wait, there's a big difference between having the 1 seed and having literally any other seed in this league. Because I want the 1 seed because I want to play Jordan.
Because Jordan's team is a good fantasy team if you're playing regular fantasy, but our league isn't regular fantasy. It is everybody has stupid good teams.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, not stupid good teams, but like everyone has the ability to pick up the good waiver wires and like the good defenses. Like,
you don't have to pay attention to like those niche players that are gonna he might do really good. Like, no, you just get the good starter. They are still free agents available you can get.
Which Ruben's team, he did all right. Jordan's team did worse than expected, and also what's his name, Justin Jefferson, the guy that Jordan's been raving about. He left him on the bench.
If he'd started him, he would have won.
He would have won. So he picked the worst defense. I don't know if he like waiver wired them or something. Let's see what other mistakes he made. Montgomery, Fournette.
Yeah, I noticed that. So he waiver wired that defense after week 1, and in the back of my head, I'm like, if he literally just watched the podcast that we criticized him for, then he would have known that that was a fluke. Okay, they just had a really good game.
They did
against that.
Like, honestly,
broken offensive line.
There's a couple defenses that you can like. Defense is one of those positions where either you waiver wire it every week, right? Like you go defense to defense, or like last year you pick up the Patriots defense and you just start them. But that is so rare to have a defense that you just start them. Like, so, and the Washington football team was a defense that you waiver wire pick up for week 1. After that, you don't like you
don't touch them again.
you leave them like they're done. Like, I mean, unless they pick up, I don't know who they play. I'd have to look at their schedule, but yeah, like this next week, I don't know. I'll probably pick up the Rams or the Broncos defense, right? Because they play the Jets and the Giants. Like, both of those teams are gonna have stupid good games, like defensively. It's just which team would I rather have? Ruben, he won. I'm proud of him. He pressed optimized lineup and destroyed Jordan.
He listened to me. He asked me what receiver he should pick up. I'm like, go get AJ Green. He's the best free agent available. And then he did, and he started him, and he won with him.
And I'm proud of him. I'm proud of you, Ruben. Which everything I've told Ruben, I've genuinely been trying to help him. I've never steered him wrong. Like, I think this past week when I talked to you about fantasy, you tried to steer me wrong, which ultimately in the end,
no, I didn't. I actually didn't.
Didn't you?
So let me look at who I told you to start. Let me go to your team because I remember we were talking about it, and in my head, I told you. You asked me about Devontae Parker or James Robinson, and I said start whichever one you think is going. Because I told you one of these teams is going to blow out the other one.
Right, that's what it was.
You think is going to blow out. I left it up to you. You did start the correct team that won, but apparently that doesn't mean that guy's going to do good in fantasy. So that was just a bad call. But then I did tell you to go and pick up, because you asked me about the Tampa's defense versus the Colts defense. And I said Colts I dropped. It's risky. I'd take Tampa because they're probably going to get a lot of sacks. They did. They got 6 sacks. However, I completely forgot that the Jets are just and you could have scored more points.
The thing about it was the Colts defense scored 2 touchdowns. How do you account for 2 touchdowns, right?
I didn't see that coming. Right? Because I thought Sam Darnold's pretty safe, especially with Malik Hooker gone, right? Like, Sam Darnold's relatively safe with the ball considering how bad a team he's on. So that does surprise me. They got 2 touchdowns, but yeah.
You were right in the sense that the Tampa destroyed the Broncos, in every defensive stat, it's just the Colts scored touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
Which
you can't predict, really.
Which, I mean, yeah, looking back at it, yeah, you didn't steer me wrong. It's just my decisions that were based off your opinion steered me wrong. But, it is what it is, right? Yeah, Ruben, doing great out here, Ruben. Jordan, you're probably going to lose every single game of this year. I don't. It's rough. There's realistically, our league, you can pick up anybody, but it's like there aren't that many running backs that are good, right? Like there's 10 running backs every year that are the running backs, and any running back below that is you can't win with them. Like, you just can't, right? Receivers are a different thing. Same with quarterbacks, right? Like, every other position, you can kind of work with it. Like, tight end, there's 4. After that, there's really nobody. Which, I mean, that only means that 4 teams have a tight end. Everybody else is fighting. Which I'm going to keep Zach Ertz. I've been trying to get rid of him for a while, but I'm going to keep him now only because the Eagles' other tight end got hurt for like the rest of the year. So
Dallas Goedert.
And Dallas Goedert has been stealing
pretty good.
a lot of his touches.
Really good.
So now that he's gone, guess who gets all his touches back? Zach Ertz. Ivan finally got the ability to win. He finally didn't play someone that scored, which I really hope I played Ivan again this week, because
he scored the most points, so good for him.
No, I scored more points. Yeah,
he was projected to get over 200, but he didn't do it. So
so I think, and then Isaiah.
So just look at points against him. It's 401, and then
right now
Demetrius is the next closest at 340. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, he's about to have like 600 points against him, and
which this is weird. Look at Jordan's points again. It's 298. He's got the third fewest, and second is Isaiah with 297. So it's like 1 point difference, and it's literally, he's just bad. Like, he's just been
mismanaging his team. Like every decision he's made has been the wrong decision. So maybe he reverse psychologies it and does the wrong right decision, goes against his gut. But Isaiah, he's just been getting lucky. There's no, like, that's just luck. That's pure luck, baby. Like, he played me week 1 and I just pressed optimize lineup and did not think about it, right? I feel like everyone does that week 1, but now that I'm hot. I'm hot right now, bro. I'm hot. Averaging like 190 a game, which is only 2 weeks, but whatever. So I think after this week in our league, I'll be second. Isaiah will be first, and you'll drop to like 4 or 3.
I think I'll be 3 because Giselle lost 2.
Right. So I'll probably I think, and Demetrius 5. And then, Ivan will probably be 5 and Demetrius will be 6. And then Ruben will stay at 7 and Jordan will stay at 8. It's a rough world out there, being the worst fantasy player. And then my other league, I'm 3 now. I'm killing it. Shoosh. Okay. You got anything else, John?
No, I'm good.
You good? Yeah. Big Richard. He's going to be a starter for the Bears. The Bears. Okay, I got that out of my system. I'm good. Thank y'all for watching, listening. Hope you have a good one.
Oh wait, don't we have to pick our team for the Thursday game?
Oh, Thursday. We almost forgot about that. Thank you, John. Oh, Broncos, Jets. Broncos.
The Jets get their first win. I think the Jets get their first win. Okay. If Jeff Driscoll this is a third string quarterback. They have to be able to beat this guy, right? They have to.
No, well, I think Jeff Driscoll. Well, here's the thing. Blake Bortles is on that roster, and he didn't play against Tampa.
He's injured.
No, Blake Bortles is healthy.
I saw the little scrolly thing that goes on the bottom during the games. It said Blake Bortles was out with an injury.
He hasn't played in a year. How could he be injured? I think that's just what
the.
No, I think that's just what they listed him as.
Practice. No, he wasn't able to play. I know he
Okay.
was listed.
All right,
as
whatever.
inactive.
Well, he'll be a backup quarterback in this game, and I'm pretty sure he'll be active. And the Broncos defense might be hurt, but it's still good. Like the Colts scored 2 touchdowns. I'm not saying the Broncos offense has to be good. I'm saying the Broncos defense will destroy the Jets. John, we have to think about this logic.
Bortles won't start.
He won't. He won't.
The Jets.
He won't. I know he won't. But there's still a possibility. Like I'm not saying he's the difference maker in this game. The offense, the Broncos offense is not what's going to win them or lose this game. It's completely on the defense, and I'm saying the defense will destroy the Jets. Every defense that has played the Jets has destroyed them, John.
No, they gotta win. This is the game they can win.
John, I'm telling you.
Bortles was ruled inactive for week 3 against the Buccaneers. I was right.
Okay, yes, I know he was inactive. He was literally standing on the sideline talking to Drew Lock in street clothes. But I'm so confident in this that I'm most likely going to pick up the Broncos defense. All right.
Go ahead.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. All right. Maybe, I don't know. Oh my God. The 49ers are playing the Eagles. That's a dub. Oh, I'm looking at this schedule for next week, and there's so many defense out there that it's just like.
Well, I still have the Niners defense, so
yeah, you don't have
to just keep.
Yeah.
I've been lucky. I'm just.
You can keep them. Like you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, the Broncos. I have to. There's no way the Jets win this game.
And I have to, because if I don't give them this game, I'm never going to give them the game. So it has to be this game.
And I'm happy never. No, you have to think about this. The Jets play the Chargers, and we know the Chargers play to their competition.
They also play the Dolphins twice.
Right. So one of those games has to go to the Jets. It's this game. The Broncos. I'm locking it in.
Thursday night games. Those are the crazy games. I'm saying Jets. Lock it.
I'm so dumb, John. Oh, wait, what was our final? What's our record? Am I still up by 1?
You're still up
by 1.
No, you were up by 2.
Yeah, by 1. But I lost. I think I lost it
because I messed up on the last 3 games. The Saints and the.
Okay, so I'm still up by 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so suck it. And I'm gonna increase my lead with this Broncos Jets game, John.
Probably. It's worth the risk.
It's not. Just take it, John. If you pick the Broncos and we're both wrong, you can't. You know what? If the Broncos lose and you pick the Jets, you'll win. Whatever. I'm sticking with the Broncos.
All right.
And I'll make fun of you for it come Friday's episode, John. Just
fine. Do it. You're not convinced. Last time I listened to you, I lost my Panthers-Chargers pick, so you're not convincing me again. Okay.
The last time I listened to you, I lost my Chargers or my Panthers. What was it? Jets or who'd they play? Raiders. Okay, well, the street goes both ways. All right. I think that's it, right? I think that's everything.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Now we can say goodbye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good one.